and welcome to the first episode of the Rocket City Yarn podcast. So grab yourself some tea or whatever you like to drink, maybe a snack in your knitting, crochet, loom knitting, and be prepared to hear a lot of fun yarn things. If you want to know what I'm drinking plain Earl Grey tea by Bulu. It is my favorite. My name is Lisa, and I'm a homeschooling mom. I spent probably 15 years in the science and technology field, and then I stepped away a couple of years ago to homeschool my little dude, and that's when I really got to spend a lot of time doing what I enjoy, which is knitting and yarn. And I really embraced it, really got into it, and then I looked at the knitting community and I said, how can I be a part of it? I really enjoy it. I enjoy, being, the communication, the friends, the yarn, everything. So that's why I decided to create my company, Rocket City Yarn Company. So the first thing I'm going to talk about today is what have I been knitting. But before I get started, I'm going to show a finished object. So back here, you can see this is a shawl. It's a free pattern on Ravelry called the Time Traveler Shawl by Elizabeth Abate, and I used the yarn that was called for in the pattern, which was Knit Picks palette, and it was several colors: regal, suede, bark, semolina, pimento, ash, and clover. And I really like it. It is just the right size. It's kind of lightweight. It's cheerful, and I love Doctor Who, so that is something I've really enjoyed wearing. I've worn it twice already. So now let's get into some works in progress. Well, one of my works in progress is that I was following the Unapologetic Knitters, My Favorite Vanilla Socks video, and doing some socks in this cascade yarn called Melilla, something like that. And so I started some socks. They're like little house socks because the yarn is 45% silk, 35% wool, and 20% nylon. So they don't really match. They'll be fraternal twins, but they're little house socks for me. I have not done the toes yet. But since I do live in Alabama, which is the Rocket City, it's in Huntsville, Alabama. It is a bit on the hot side now. It's May, so we won't really be needing house socks for quite some time. So I probably won't finish these for a while. These will probably go on the back burner. Next up, one of the things that I've been knitting is a shawl. It is the Fuss-Free Festival Shawl by Louise Tilbrook. It's a paid pattern on the Ravelry. And I started the shawl, and then I'm using my own yarn. It's called Rocket City Sparkle. I'm using that I stole out of my shop just because I wanted it. And then I'm also using one of my minis, my purple minis. And I really liked the pattern. It really showed off my variegated yarn really well, which I really liked. But I decided to add a few different stitches and kind of make it a sampler shawl more than just the plain garter stitch shawl. So I started putting in a little tree of life motif in the middle there. And I got it from this book that I found at a local bookstore here. It's called A Stitch in Time's Heirloom Knitting Skills, and it's a really fun it's a stitch dictionary, but it also has a lot of history. The author is Rita Taylor, and I found it kind of really just interesting because it had a lot of fun stuff to read, plus it had some patterns and some stitch dictionary things, and so that's what I was adding to my shawl. Okay, I'm going to put this back in so I don't end up mixing that up there. So I'm going to put that back in along with the yarn there. Put that back in. Always got to be careful with the zipper on that one. Then next, I have been working on a sweater, a top-down sweater. I've been following a pattern from the Ann Budd top-down sweaters book. It's called the Feather, Fan, and Flare pattern. And one of the, if you can see here, that's it right there. I started it, so haven't gotten too far yet, but I am doing it like this, in this color here. This color is a Knit Picks lace weight, but I'm holding two strands together. It was called Heather, Tide Pool Heather, and I'm holding two together because here in Alabama we don't need anything too warm, you know, too thick. So, and then something that I thought might be fun is if you look really closely, if I can show it, there's like a little feather and fan design here and on the sleeves, and I thought it might be fun to stripe it. So I took I was a member of the Row 1 Mystery Minis Club for a couple months, so I went through all the minis that I got, and I got out the neutrals, the blues, and the purples, and I'm going to stripe with different color minis because I thought that would make it kind of on the sleeves and then in the bottom, so make it kind of break up some of the color and make it a little more unique. So that is going to be fun, and that'll hopefully, because sometimes I have trouble sticking to a pattern all the way through just because I kind of get bored and I want to start something new. So I'm hoping being able to use different color minis throughout will hopefully keep me on task because it'll give me some interest. That's all in What Am I Knitting? So next up, what am I dyeing? So what colorways have I been dyeing? So let me go through here and open up my box. So one of the colorways that I recently dyed was, I called it Starfire, because I've been kind of going with a space theme because I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. We're like NASA and Rocket City, and so I've kind of been going with kind of a space theme, and I wanted to do a colorway that was unique for this year, for spring and summer, that kind of reminded me of summer. So I got inspiration from my backyard. I went and took some pictures of my daylilies as they bloomed, and I kind of found this really orange and yellows and reds and pinks, and made this, and it's sparkle yarn. So it's 5% stellina, 75% superwash merino, and 20% nylon, I believe. And it is so soft, and I hope the lighting is really good so you can see came out such a pretty color. And so for sock sets, I've been putting in little minis so people can do heels and toes. So I put an orange mini, kind of speckled mini, to go with it. Be solid, because I don't know about you guys, but for me, I wear a 5.5 US ladies, which is kind of a small size. But when I knit socks, I can get a whole nice long leg pair of socks for 52 grams, usually around 52 grams of wool, stock yarn. So then if I've bought a 100-gram skein or 250 grams, I now have 48 left. Well, 48 is not enough. And yes, I could make shorties, but sometimes I would like to do different, a different pattern maybe, or something with the same sock yarn. So that's when I decided to include these 20-gram minis with all my sock sets in the shop. That way, you don't have to choose on the set to make shorties on the second. If you have either a larger sock size or foot size, or you want to have an extra pair, then that will allow you to do that. So that's kind of why I planned it that way. One of my other colorways that I've done this year, for this spring, is a nebula colorway. It's also sparkle yarn. I am in love with this one. And what I did was, so for each of the colors that is in this colorway, so there's some pinks and some blues and some purple, grays, and blacks, I did a corresponding mini with the same colors. So there's either the blue mini, the pink mini, the purple mini, or the speckled mini. And so I'm going to sell the sock sets with a mini to match. So you'll be able to do the same thing with that. So that will be very nice with that one. Another thing that I did with the minis is I also did just a straight mini set. So you'll be able to see, so here's the blue one. You've already seen the pink. Here's the purple, which is really a pretty purple. These are all sparkle yarn. And then it also came with a mini of nebula, so that came. And then of course the pink that you already saw. So those are just a fun little mini set. They would make a great cowl or hat, because total there's 80 grams, because each of the 4 minis is 20 grams. So it would make a great little hat or cowl or something small, or you could save it for your heels and toes. Another colorway that I just finished, which I had in mind for this to be like if you were trying to do a 3-color shawl and you did 3 skeins of yarn that were different but coordinated. So I did the Green Galaxy, which is kind of like a semi-solid. It's pretty solid, but it's got some tonal features to it. Then I did a matching speckled yarn in the same green, but it's also got some nice purpley blacks and grays. And then I did a gorgeous black tonal sparkle to go with it. So these together will make the most beautiful shawl. So if you have a shawl in mind that you've been wanting to do, maybe for Mother's Day, that would be so pretty. I actually am tempted to steal this one for myself, but I'm not allowed to steal any more yarn since I stole the variegated. So I'm not allowed to do that. So that's all I'm going to show today on what I've been dyeing. So I thought about it and I decided, since I also love reading, hold on just one second. Since I also love reading, I decided, and TV watching and things, I decided to include just a little short topic on what am I reading right now. Well, a book that I just finished was the second in a trilogy where the third hasn't come out yet. But it's Charlie Holmberg. She did the Paper Magician series. I just started her new trilogy. The first one is Smoke and Mirrors. The second one is Myths and Mortals. And the third one is, I think, Veins of Gold. But it hasn't come out yet. So that's what I just finished reading, was the second one. And I really, really liked it. It was definitely different than the Paper Magician series, but it was quite good. If you like books that are kind of otherworldly and they have like a little bit of magic, a little bit of supernatural, and a little bit of influences like that, you'll enjoy it. Next, I wanted to just say, what am I listening to? So I kind of wanted to give a top 5 of the podcasts that I listen to every week, every time they come out. So I would say that the ones I listen to most are on my just regular audio podcast. I listen to the Yarniacs, Gail and Charlene. I listen to the two Knitlit chicks, Tracy and Barb, because they talk about books as well as knitting. And then I watch the Grocery Girls, Tracy and Jody. I watch the Hey Sister podcast with Tabby and Rachel. And I listen to the Periscoping Sisters. Now, when it comes to, those are ones that I just listen to, kind of keeping me company while I knit or read or whatever. But I also, when I want to learn something, there's basically 3 podcast YouTubers that I if they can't teach me how to do whatever I'm looking for, then I'm not even sure I'm capable of learning it. But I listen to Kristen Mangus from Good Knit Kisses because I started out as a loom knitter before I became a needle knitter. So I learned so much from her podcast. Second, I listen to Marley Bird because I always do her tournament of stitches that's in March every year, kind of when the basketball tournament starts, because it's really fun. It's a mystery knit along, and I'll have to, next podcast I'll go back and get the 2 shawls that I've made, because I did the one last year and the one this year, and it was really, really fun. I had a good time with that. And the third one that I always sometimes type in just so I can watch a little stitch or read a review on a needle set is the Very Pink Knits with Stacy Perry. She does the greatest little short things when I can't remember a stitch or I come across something in a pattern that it's not familiar. If I type it in and I see Very Pink Knits there, I click on that in like 2 seconds I've understood how to do it. She does the most concise videos for learning. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so another thing I wanted to say is, what am I binging or watching right now? Well, I haven't really had much time to watch TV lately because, one, I've been I homeschool, and I homeschool year round, so I don't do a real break. And 2, I've been getting the yard ready to put my garden in. I've got my tomato plants in, my pepper plants. I'm kind of doing like a little salsa garden theme this year, so I did onions, garlic, tomatoes, jalapenos. I did some sweet peppers, and then I did, of course, my standard herb garden that I usually do. So I finished that. So that's kind of been taking up a lot of my evening time. And then, but what have I watched recently? I watched Discovery of Witches. Now, I read the book a really long time ago, the first book. I don't know if I ever finished the entire trilogy. I know it's like a trilogy, or maybe even have a 4th one. But I know I read the first book. But I decided to try out the TV show, and it's pretty good. I'm excited. I think I've seen 2 of the 3 episodes that I've got DVR'd, so I'm going to have to go back and watch the 3rd one. But I really am enjoying that, so I just wanted to share that. Next up, I am going to talk a little bit about what am I designing. So what have I... Let me grab it here. What have I been designing? Well, I have a new nephew that's going to be coming on my birthday in June. So I have been knitting a little striped blanket, and it's extra squishy because it's double knit. And so it's kind of a, let me see if you can see it. So kind of what I did is I always change just one color when I'm doing my stripes. So for example, I started with the blue and the white on back. Then in the next set of stripes, I moved the blue to the back and I changed to gray. Then the next set of stripes, I moved the gray to the back and I'm starting on the red. So it's going to be red, white, blue, and gray. So 4 colors. And then, so I'm going to stripe it. When I get to the middle, I'm going to put rockets, and I think I might add robots too. I'm not sure, but I think that's what I'm going to add, robots. And then I'm going to do the stripes on the end. So I've written up the pattern, which I may put in the shop just in maybe for $1, because I didn't tech edit it and I didn't test knit it. I'm just doing it myself, so it'll probably just be $1 in case there's any mistakes. But if you have any questions about it, feel free to email me and I'll do my best to answer your questions. So here's the rocket chart that I would go in the middle. But I think I'm also going to add in a robot chart, because I think it would be fun if it was rocket, robot, maybe a star too. And so it could be like rocket, robot, star, planet, and then, so I may do that depending on if the math works out. I may add that to the middle. But I really have to get finished with that, because if he's going to be here in June, I need to get going with that, because it's already May. Time has really flown much faster than I thought it was going to. Next up, let's talk about store updates. Okay, so I have recently launched a store online at RocketCityYarn.com. So visit us at RocketCityYarn.com. So let's see here. I'm going to see if I can pull it up on right here. to pull it up on my phone here so you can kind of see it. There it is. And you can, that's the home. You click in the corner and you have the shop, and it shows you the things that are in the shop. Like there's the Starfire in the shop. And it says that you get 10% off your first purchase if you sign up for the newsletter. Now, right now, there hasn't been a newsletter yet because we just opened the store. But I still want everyone to get their 10% off. And then when I do start doing a newsletter, it's going to be more like just a show notes thing, like where I talk about, what I'm talking about in the podcast and maybe some updates of what's coming up in the shop and that sort of thing. So it won't be anything real big or involved, maybe one page, not too much. But I won't spam you, but if you'd like that to know like what colors are coming up or what sales we're going to have, then you might want to sign up for that. There's also, if you go to the very front of the website, it'll say get 10% off using the promo code GRANDOPENING10 through May 22nd. I might stretch that till June. I don't know. But anyway, so that I just had to pick a date when I put it in there. So that will be for the first opening of our shop. So that means you can potentially get 20% off. So that's a really good deal. Now, as for shipping, right now I'm only doing the post office, U.S. Postal Service, and so I believe it only ships to Canada and the United States. However, if you are an international customer and you are interested in trying one of our yarns, what I will do is they had a way when I was doing the website and adding in the shipping that I could add it country by country. So if you want to, if you're an international customer and you would like interested in the yarn, what we'll do is send me an email. You can contact me on the website. There's a contact us thing at the bottom of the website. Send me an email, and what I'll do is we'll test one out. I'll add add your country, and we'll test one out and see if we can get it to work. And if we get it to work, I'd be so glad to ship it to you because I want everyone that would like to try the yarn to be able to do so. But I had to start small with my website and get one thing working before I could go and add every country. But if there's anybody in a country outside the United States and Canada that would like to try it, just send me an email and we'll see if we can work something out. That's all I had on that one. So for special topics, I have a pretty exciting topic to discuss for me. So I've never ever been to a fiber festival. So I've seen 1,000 videos where people talked about DFW and Stitches West and Stitches United and Maryland Sheep and Wool and Rhinebeck. Well, I am going to go in less than, because today is like May 1st is when I'm shooting this. So in like 28 days, I'm going to get to go to my first Stitches event, Stitches United. I am so excited. So the family is going to use that as our vacation for this year so that I can go up and see everything. So I'm going to try to take some video on there and show it on the podcast in the next episode. Maybe it'll be episode 2 or 3 so that everyone can see all the cool things. There's so much going on there and I want everyone to be able to see it. And I also decided I've never taken a knitting class ever. So I've always just used YouTube and books and pretty much that's it. So I decided to go on out to kind of stick my neck out a little bit and try a class. So I'm taking Brioche, the Basics and Beyond with Gwen Bortner. I hope I got the name right. So I am really excited because I've seen Brioche, but I have never attempted it. So I think it'll be a great thing to take a class on because I've seen so many interesting patterns that have come out lately with Brioche, and I think it'll be a great skill to learn. So I'm very excited about that. Okay, so one more thing I want to talk about is shop updates. So I've got some new yarn bases in, so I wanted to go over which bases I got in, and then talk about what I'm planning to dye in the next few weeks. So I got in some DK 100% superwash merino. I got in some 75-25 fingering weight. Superwash merino and nylon. I got some 50% merino, 25% alpaca, 25% nylon, and I got in some 100% superwash worsted weight. Now, while worsted weight is not something that I knit a whole lot with here in Alabama, the reason I decided to go with a little bit of worsted weight is because for loom knitters, we tend to use the bigger yarns. Unless you're doing sock yarn, for socks, you're pretty much going to be using bulkier worsted weight. So I wanted, because I started as a loom knitter, so I wanted to make sure and ensure that there were some new colorways that loom knitters could really enjoy. Because that's one of the things when I was first started as a loom knitter, it felt like a lot of the patterns and a lot of the yarn, indie yarn and all the cool things was really designed for needle knitting and crochet, and it really wasn't designed for loom knitting. But now that loom knitting has taken off, and I really think loom knitting is a great thing because one, as a former scientist, there's no gadget that I don't enjoy. Second, for people with dexterity issues or having trouble with pain or carpal tunnel, loom knitting is not as harsh on your hands. And I've noticed if I've been really crazy with the needle knitting, I can switch over to loom for a while, do that, and I have no pain. And then I can go back to needle knitting. So having that alternative there to still do the same fun things you enjoy when maybe your hands are hurting or you've got, your shoulders hurting, you've got carpal tunnel, and allows you to have more fun doing your hobby, I think it's a great thing. And you can do almost everything that you can do on needle knitting, you can do on a loom. And you just kind of have to think about it in a little bit different way. One of the biggest things about loom knitting is that you're always working on the right side, so you don't have a wrong side because you don't turn it the same way. So you have to remember some things are a little bit backwards between needle knitting and loom knitting. So you just kind of have to keep that straight. But really, I find that there's a lot of things that I prefer to do on the loom. Now, I do believe cable knitting is so much easier on needle knit because there doesn't seem to be as much ability to really stretch those loops and to move them around as much on a loom. But for double knitting with a rake, oh my gosh, you can just zip right through patterns. So there's a lot of benefits to both. So I just wanted to put out there that I'm going to have some different bases. All those bases I said before are not sparkle. Everything in the shop right now is sparkle because I just like sparkle. And two, it's summer and I just felt like doing all sparkle. Now, let's get to the important thing for everybody, which I'm sure everybody will be excited about. Giveaways. So, I love giveaways. That's one of the things. I enter all of them. I pretty much never win, but I do enjoy entering them. So, what I decided to do is I decided to give a giveaway for 100 subscribers, 500 subscribers, and 1,000 subscribers. So, for the 100 subscribers, wait for it, we're gonna, pardon me, pause. 1 second, okay, wrong start. We're gonna give away Erin Lane bags, Notion pockets, little Notion bags. And one is Outlander sheeple, Outlander sheeps, they're dressed like Outlander. And the other one is Game of Thrones. And this one says, and I quote, "That is what I do. I knit and I know things." Well, I actually have a t-shirt that says that and I really want to keep this, but I'm gonna be nice and I'm going to let you guys have these because these are awesome and I have like 4 already, so I'm going to be nice and share. But these are pouches and they're, honestly, I use them for all kinds of stuff. I have one that I put my cords in when I travel. I have one that I put my knitting notions in. I have one that I put, just all kinds of things in. These are just very handy little pouches. So for the 500 subscribers, I'm going to give away a sock set of yarn from our store. And because I want to make sure, because these giveaways, these physical giveaways are only going to be right now for Canada and the United States, I want to make sure that our international listeners, those outside the United States, can win something. I'm going to give away an electronic download of a pattern. I have to figure out how to do that. I may do it through Ravelry or something, but I'm going to figure out how to give a gift with that. So for 500 subscribers, that one, and tell you what, For the 100 and the 500, I'm going to do an electronic giveaway too. So make sure that our international viewers will get something too. And then for 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away something really awesome. Loom knitters, you probably know what this is. This is a Cindy Wood loom. This is her small gauge, 3/4 gauge loom, which is basically you can use worsted weight yarn on it. 40 pegs, the adult sock loom, Cindy Wood, so nice with the blue pegs, little peg holder. This is an awesome loom. It's wood, it's lightweight, it's really nice. So I'm going to give this away. So when there's 500 subscribers on YouTube, then this will be the giveaway. And I'm also going to give away an electronic pattern like we talked about. So there'll be an electronic pattern. Okay, so 1,000 subscribers is going to be the loom and the electronic download. The 500 subscribers is going to be yarn and electronic download. And 100 subscribers is going to be the 2 Notion bags and electronic download. I'm making a note here, so that the international viewers can watch and get something as well. So, just want to say, in closing, I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover in this first episode. So, thank you for your support. I really appreciate you watching and supporting my new yarn adventure. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Ravelry. I think I'm going to create a group in Ravelry soon. And come visit our website at RocketCityYarn.com. But I will probably do plenty of updates on Instagram. So I would say my main 2 things to check out are the website at RocketCityYarn.com and Instagram. Though if you follow those 2 things, you will see everything. And if you loved the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell icon so you'll be able to get updated when I put in new videos. And please, please, we want to get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers by Christmas. So, if y'all want your giveaways, subscribe. And if you love it, share it. Share it in your knitting groups. Share it on Instagram. Send the link out. I really appreciate it. And I just wanted to say, don't forget, it's okay to just want to stay home and knit.